Okay,
I'm
so
not gonna lie. I feel like I know exactly like every single one of your picks. I feel
all
like I
right. Well,
already
you
know.
see if you can predict it then.
uh, yeah, I'll literally try to like write it down and I'll let you know as you're saying them.
Okay. All
But
right. So
good.
I originally had Bayern first because Bayern is Bayern and they're looking better. They broke the curse they had against Borussia Mönchengladbach, which they could not beat them forever, and they finally did it. So I feel like they'll finally do good. So obviously they're getting top the group. How could you not? I have Copenhagen to get group. Copenhagen is almost always in the Champions League, but they just don't really do much. I feel so. I
Yeah,
just feel like they're always here for the ride. But
yeah,
yeah. So I feel like they'll get grouped. So obviously it comes down to second and third. So I originally had Manchester United in second to go through straight to knockouts, and you would
hmm
expect that, right? But
yeah.
there's a lot of turmoil going on at the moment with the situation
There is.
with United's start of form being very shaky, being very bad at the moment. I feel like if it wasn't for that Wolves game in which Wolves got robbed, United would be bottom of the table, not bottom, but they'd be in the bottom half.
Yeah,
I feel like Wolves got robbed that game. Otherwise,
definitely
they'd
do.
be much lower. So they have a lot of injury problems at center back to a point where they have Harry Maguire, who they do not want playing to play, is going to be playing with almost 40-year-old, if not 40-year-old, what's his name, Johnny Evans, which nobody expected for
Yeah,
him to come back to the club. So they're having defensive issues back there. And then all that Jadon Sancho stuff that's coming out, and everybody saying that
yeah,
Ronaldo was right all along, and Ten Hag this and Ten Hag that. There's a lot of pressure on the team to perform, and
yeah,
I don't know if they can do it. So, and to be a little different, to shake things up. Plus, like I said, there's been recent times in previous years where small clubs do big shockers. I still remember the
yeah.
season where Celtic was in the same group as Barcelona, and they put up a fight, and I think they upset them. They put up a good fight. I don't remember the outcome. I don't think Barcelona dropped down to the Europa League because I think recently that's become a thing. But I think
Yeah.
Celtic put in a fight, so they ended up not topping the group that season. But I remember that season. It was a long time ago. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember that season particularly. So I'm gonna put Galatasaray in second and put
Yeah, no, I don't.
United at third.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even blame you there. I kind of forgot about the beef, but I feel like even with the stuff going on, I feel like Man United is too big of a club. But I
You
wouldn't be
say
shocked, like
that.
you said. Yeah, like I was literally about to say, I was like, I say that, but I was like you said, a bunch of these small teams, you shouldn't be shocked whenever they actually like end up performing and overperforming. And even if they overperform, they get
There you
through
go.
and they find a way to make it through. So. I was like, you can't call it overperforming, but sometimes some teams just don't. They're just not in the form or not good. And Man United is just one of those where it's just a dumpster fire right now, and everything's going wrong. So definitely can see that one happening.
Exactly. That's a perfect word that you said. A perfect term. Overperforming. So many teams overperform in the Champions League, and then they get knocked out like in the knockouts. But it's crazy to see them go on a crazy run or like go on this fairy tale run. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, for sure. Galatasaray used to be a big giant. They've fallen off in recent years, sadly. I feel like Besiktas and Fenerbahce kind of took the lead for a
yeah,
moment. I don't know. I can't remember the last time Galatasaray was in the Champions League. I want to say it's been a couple seasons. I might be wrong, but I feel like it's usually been Besiktas or Fenerbahce, usually up here. Um, but yeah, and they got a lot of talent. They're gonna take a while to gel because a bunch of new players. But I feel
yeah,
like they could, cause a shocker in the Champions League and send United down with all their troubles and woes. And all I gotta say is they don't have Mr. CR7 to bail them out this
you're
time.
not
That's all I
wrong.
gotta say. He's not here to
But
carry them on
now,
their shoulders.
but now they got Mr. Point at your head.
Yep, Mr. Point at your head's gonna carry them through.
I can't
uh,
stop laughing every time I think of Man United.
you just
I
think
think
of
of
that
this
Rashford
meme.
celebration.
No, yeah, I think of this the
But yeah, so I'm gonna put Manchester United at third. I know a lot of people are gonna put them in second, but they just dropped a lot of points in recent times and a lot of balls. AKA Onana, the wonderful goalkeeper they brought in to replace De Gea, is not looking like a good decision at the moment. But I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna put them there, and their defense is also kind of shaky. They have some injuries in defense, and it's Manchester United, so I'm gonna put them in third. You know, it'd be hilarious if they drop down to the Europa League, so I'm gonna put them third. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then at second, I'm gonna put Galatasaray. So
Ooh, nice.
yeah, so most people might be surprised by that, but they just got a bunch of new signings, a lot of top tier talent. They're looking like they want to fight for the Turkish league, let alone the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like I haven't been in this competition in a while, and I'm sure they want to make an impact because they used to not cruise to the knockouts, but I feel like they used to always be in contention for the knockouts. So I feel like they'll do well. Possibly, you know, I feel like no offense to Copenhagen, I feel like it's an easy 3 points for all of them, and they just gotta hope for a good result against the other big ones, the other big teams, to go
Yeah,
through.
you're not gonna lie.
Yeah, but yeah, so I have them second, and then obviously whoever doesn't have Bayern in first place is either a United fan or they don't watch the sport at all. So they're either United fans or they don't watch the sport, because I guarantee there's a lot of United fans that have United finishing in first, but that's not gonna happen. There's no way that you beat Bayern once, let alone twice. That's not going to happen. It's Super Bayern for a reason. You know, they got so much talent. It's ridiculous. They didn't get the depth that they wanted at deadline day. They missed out on a lot of signings, unfortunately, on their part.
Yeah.
I know they need a right back and a holding midfielder. Everything collapsed the last second. It just sucks. But they waited too long. You know, they waited until the last second to get players in, and then it's never a good look when you're struggling, when you're like panicking on deadline day to get something through that you could have got done ages ago. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
but they
yeah,
do keep upgrading their attack, so I mean that never hurts, I guess.
that they
That'll
do.
always just yeah, that'll always just keep them up there, and that's why they'll just never be down there because their attack's always crazy.
Exactly, and they even have young talent. It seems like they're just pumping out young talent every now and then. Every couple years, there's a new guy emerging, and right now they have Tell. I think it's like Matthias
Yeah,
Tell. I don't know how you say his first name, but that guy is 18 years old
yeah,
and he's looking insane. He's looking like the next crazy wonder kid at the age of 18. So look out for him. I feel
yeah. You're
like
not
he'll
even wrong.
contribute for sure. All right, but that's my group A.
100%.
But yeah, that's my group A. For group B, so for group B, it's funny because I'm gonna leave it how as is. So like I have it right here, pretty much the same way Brian did. You know, if anything, I'm
Yeah,
almost half a mind to swap Lons and PSV, because I just feel like,
PSV.
yeah, because even though PSV they did make it through the qualifying. Like I said, it's been a while that I can remember that there's been two Dutch clubs in the Champions League, because the second place always has to go through qualifying, and they did do well to make it through qualifying stages. That you always got to go through some big teams to make it to the qualifier. So I feel like they did well to make it, but I feel like they're kind of shaky in the moment. I know they're 3-0, I believe, in the Eredivisie, but the Eredivisie is Eredivisie, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Um, but even then, if it wasn't for the fact that Lons had a rough start to the season, they lost a lot of their players. If not, I probably would have put Lons in third. So I'm gonna leave it right here. So Lons fourth, PSV third. But don't be surprised if it's swapped. I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
well,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure even I had mentioned too that I could obviously see that as a swap. I feel like that's just one of those ones where it's just gonna be like either or,
yeah.
and like there's justification for both of those teams. But I mean, yeah, I just went PSV third, but I can easily like see how you're going with that, and then see them fourth and Lens three. So yeah, it's
Ex-
just gonna be one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And even though I know everybody has Sevilla finishing third because of the Europa League joke about how they're gonna drop into third and win the Europa League like always and whatnot, but I believe this is the last year that they could do this, because I believe moving forward they're not gonna drop into the next one. I
Yeah,
believe that's how the format's looking, like that nobody's gonna drop down into the next tier, because they're saying that there's no way for Sevilla to drop down to Europa League, so they might not be able to win it anymore afterwards going forward. Um, but I just feel like, even though they did, I feel like they didn't reinforce themselves too crazy. But they do have Sergio Ramos back, and I love Sergio Ramos. He's a Real Madrid icon, one of the greatest Spanish defenders of all time, if not the greatest Spanish defender of all time. No offense to,
yeah,
no offense to Hierro, who's also a Real Madrid icon, but I just feel like he's very good, and them having him back is gonna be great for them. He has a lot of Champions League experience, obviously, so I just feel like they'll do good. They're good in European competitions, and the other teams aren't as crazy as you would expect. If they had another a bigger team in this group, I would put them in third, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So I'll put them in second, and then obviously Arsenal in first. If you don't have Arsenal in first, you got to be a big hater. Um, I know it's funny to see Arsenal struggle, and then everybody pretty much is all up in roar. It's funny, but I just don't see any way that they finish outside of the top two, let alone below first. They should get first easily. If they don't get first in this group, then it's sad on them, and it's not looking good for them looking towards the rest of the season. It is the Champions League, but in a group like this, that's one of the easier ones. They should get first. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
100%.
Uh,
But
but yeah. Want to go ahead, Brian?
honestly, I wasn't gonna lie. I feel like if there is a team that like I could see through all these like underperforming, I don't know why, but then like something tells me that like I could see Arsenal underperforming. I don't know if it is being a
It's an
Chelsea fan,
Arsenal. It's an Arsenal
but
thing, and you are a Chelsea fan.
yeah, so I was just like, I don't know if that's a thing, but like I get if there's definitely one I can see dropping, it'll definitely be Arsenal, but
Yeah.
who knows? We'll see.
Brian, you're gonna get slandered because you guys aren't in the chat. You guys aren't in any European competition.
I always still gotta talk. You always gotta talk. You
There
always
you
gotta
go.
talk.
There you go. We gotta have the banter ready on deck. But yeah. Um, but that's Group B. So for Group C, I know you put Union Berlin in third and Braga in fourth. I'm gonna swap those because I feel like this is Union Berlin's first season in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like they've recruited enough to compete for multiple competitions like this. And the Champions League is no joke at all. Like I say,
Yeah.
you do see small teams surprising big teams every time. Like I remember that year where Sheriff beat Real Madrid, and I remember there's been a couple times in the last couple like years that I think Shakhtar beat Real Madrid once. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been last year when they still had Mudryk. I can't remember, but you just never know what happens. But Union, I just don't think I don't think Union Berlin are gonna be able to compete with the other guys. I know Braga is almost on par with their level and quality, but Braga have a really good squad. Well, not a good squad, but they have decent players for the division that they play in. They competed really well last season in the Portuguese league, and they always have a lot of experience in the European
They have a
competitions.
competitive squad.
There you go. That's a better word. So I feel like they'll be the ones to get there and drop down to the Europa League. I know they made it somewhat far last year. I think they made it to the quarters and they lost to Rangers. I'm pretty sure it was the quarters. So they might get
Yeah.
this time around. But yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, Brian. If it wasn't for the fact that we have Braga and Union in this group, I probably would drop Napoli to third. But I'm gonna put them in second. I say this because I just feel like they've struggled a bit.
But like struggle a bit where they would drop out of the top two if there was a better team. I feel like that's not an exaggeration, but like I don't know. I don't know if they're dropped that much.
Yeah. I mean, they do
I feel
got
like
good
Napoli's still
players still.
Napoli.
They're still the same team. They did lose. They lost Kim and Jay, which is a big loss for them.
Yeah, that was definitely a big loss.
But I feel like the bigger loss is their manager that they had, and he was a really solid coach. He guided them to their first win, and who knows how long it's been since they had won it previously. He stepped away at the end of the season. I'm sure he just wanted to win it, and he was happy with that. And he's like, you know what, that's that, and I'm good. But I'm not too convinced with the manager they have now. The results so far in the Serie A haven't been too promising. But like I said, for now, they stay in. They're lucky that they're not in a harder group. But I'm going to put them in second. For Real Madrid, I'm going to put them in first, of course, because the group is not as hard. They've won every game that they've played. One of the few teams that remain that is perfect. I don't remember. I know there's a couple that are left that are perfect, that they've won every game. Undefeated is one thing, but they're perfect. They've won every game so far. They've won every game in La Liga, so they're looking solid at the moment. I'm happy about it. I know they have some lack up top in the striker position, but as long as they get by in the group stages, that's all that matters. Maybe come the January transfer window, maybe Florentino Perez will see the light and decide to buy a primary striker. We'll see what happens. But Jude Bellingham's been carrying crazy, but I don't know how long the Jude Bellingham magic will last for us. So I'm hoping it holds on and he's able to contribute massively. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they're already starting to link people to Madrid, aren't they? Like certain strikers. I'm pretty sure I saw one the other day that like somebody was getting linked. I forgot who it was, but it was a pretty big name.
I'm not sure. They're being linked to everybody during the summer. They're like, I hear that teams were like offering their players, like everyone was offering their strikers that they wanted to get rid of, and they're like, nah. So they passed on. We'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But for now, they're doing pretty good. Last season they started the same, so don't trust me. I don't have my hopes up that well. Last season they started off. I think they were top of La Liga. I forget how many games they went in a row where they were perfect, and then I think they lost or they drew to Osasuna. It was a very frustrating game. I remember I watched it, and then it just went downhill from there. And then in the end, they only won 2 out of 4 competitions, unfortunately. But it is what it is. You can't win them all.
I feel like that's how it always starts. It always just takes that one loss and then just like it starts
spirals.
snowballing from there. But yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We'll see.
Yeah.
They're definitely on a hot streak right now, though. So
yeah, for sure.
Vibes are still up for you.
Yeah, and they played some decent teams, so it's not like they played a bunch of bum teams. So I'm still looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. But that's Group C. So for Group D, I have in 4th. I obviously have FC Salzburg. So I mean, I'm sure that the Giants of Austria, and they qualify for this competition every single year because ever since they became sponsored by Red Bulls, no one can touch them at all whatsoever. Before you had your random Austrian teams that would qualify, but there's no way that's gonna happen ever again unless there's a way to the qualifiers. But that's probably not gonna happen if there even is a way for that. But I'm gonna put them in 4th. They're obviously stronger in their division, but in this league, I don't see it. Like, 'cause there's upsets all the time. They could drop. They could pick up some points against the big boys, but I just don't see it. So I feel like they're gonna be 4th. But
and in this group, I feel like it's an obvious 4th. Like, I mean, it's not one of those other ones where there's like a couple of slackish teams towards the end. Like, I mean, I think in mine I had Sociedad 3rd, and I mean, I don't think Sociedad is on the same level as Salzburg. So just a tough group that they got placed in if they wanted to perform.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, maybe if they were in another group, they'd have a chance, but I don't know. But like I said, upsets happen all the time in this cup. You never know. Like I said, nobody predicted that Bruges was gonna make it to the round of 16, the first Belgian team to ever do it. Nobody thought that was gonna happen. So you just never know. Honestly, upsets happen all the time. That's what makes this competition so exciting. That's what.
And that's why we love the Champions League.
Exactly. That's the same thing that saw Barcelona drop into the Europa League 2 years in a row. You just never know. But okay. So for 3rd, I'm going to put. So you put Benfica first, Brian, and Inter 2nd, and 3rd you put, what's it called? You put no, Sociedad. But yes, I'm gonna put Benfica 3rd.
Yeah, I had a bad feeling. Right when you said that I had Benfica first, I was like 100% he's putting Benfica 3rd.
Yeah, so Benfica's a crazy good team. They dominate the Portuguese league. They brought in Angel Di Maria. Is a very good reinforcement. I commend the guy that he turned down offers from Saudi to come back to Benfica. I love it. Benfica's kits every year are so nice, and Raul Jimenez used to play.
To be honest.
Yes, they are. Raul Jimenez did used to play for Benfica, but I'm sorry. And but I'm gonna have to put them in 3rd. They do have a good team. They do have good players. They have that European pedigree, but they're still cursed, Brian. I don't know if you know this, but they won, I believe, back to back the Champions League back in the 50s, and something happened with their manager, and their manager cursed them, and he said that they won't win the Champions League. I don't know if he said ever or for 100 years or however long. But so far, as of now, every final that Benfica has played, they have lost. So, I know we're talking about the group stage, but...
Yeah, I was about to say,
I know we're talking about the group stage. I know we're talking about the group stage.
Last year, so.
Yeah. I know we're talking about the group stage, but I just feel like they'll be 3rd. And I'm not being biased, because I do love my La Liga teams, and I support my La Liga teams. But I feel like Sociedad is very strong, I mean, they put up a fight against Real Madrid, and that's a good testing point right there. So I just feel like Sociedad's not going anywhere. I feel like they're going to stay here. We'll see how they do with these multi-competitions. Let's see if they're able to compete in all of it, because it's very taxing, especially when you don't have crazy squad depth, when you have a lot to play, because they have La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and then obviously the Champions League. And it gets hectic, you're playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and then, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. So it gets crazy. But I feel like they'll do well. Takefusa Kubo is very solid. They have good players. I feel like they'll get second. I would almost put them in first, but Inter is just very good at the moment, and they destroyed AC Milan. They destroyed AC Milan
Yeah.
over the weekend. So I feel like I'm gonna put them in first for that. I feel like that beatdown against Milan is more of a sign of their dominance versus AC Milan's like downfall. I want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So I'm gonna put them in first. And then obviously Sociedad in second, so that's what I'm gonna go with, like that.
I respect it.
Yeah, so no offense to Benfica and any Benfica fans. It could go any way, you never know. Somebody might slip up and they may make the top two, or who knows what happens. But hey, man, hopefully maybe you go on and win the Europa League and break the curse, but probably not gonna happen.
No, yeah, and then how I seen it, I was kind of just being a little bit more, not like
Conservative, kind of.
Yeah, I was being a little more conservative. That's the word. I was being a little more conservative, always going for like not the big teams, but just like I feel like what would be your obvious choice if this wasn't the Champions League, right? Like if it was just a casual game, like who I thought would win. But obviously there's going to be some upsets, so definitely makes sense. I can definitely see it happening. That's one of those groups where it's just like you never know. The Sociedad and Benfica difference isn't that big, to be honest. So
Yeah,
can definitely see that happening.
exactly. And Benfica's pretty much in here every season. I don't know, but you're saying, Brian?
Yeah. I was like, and Inter's going to be Inter, so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they're going to be up there, so.
Exactly. No, let's say, Benfica are in this competition every year, and Sociedad hasn't been in it in, I think, 10 years. I might be wrong, but they haven't been in this competition in a long time, so you never know. Honestly, you honestly never know how that goes. Benfica have that experience, that yearly experience, where they're always pretty much guaranteed a spot here, and Sociedad haven't been here in a while, so we'll see what happens, but
there's definitely going to be a hunger for Sociedad. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And then I'm sure Inter have that hunger after being let down in the final, where they choked that final against Man City, that they had all the opportunities and chances to win, which they pretty much just threw away. But this year they don't have La Caca, so they have a good chance, They have a good chance this year.
They still have Lautaro.
But they now have Arnautovic, who's a solid Serie A baller, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and he's been performing.
Yes, that he has. He's very much made it in the Serie A comfortably for the last couple of years. But yeah. So that is my Group D. So moving on to Group E, I have... So here you had Atletico, Lazio, Celtic, and Feyenoord. So for fourth, in my opinion, I have Celtic. So...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Celtic fans. I know you're a big club. I'm sure you'll do better than Rangers did last year, where I think they ended with 0 points, which is pretty embarrassing. But I don't know. I just don't think you have what it takes to compete. Welcome back. It's been a while. I mean, Celtic are a great club, nice crest, kit. Everything's great. They sing the same. They have the same anthem as Liverpool, the "You'll Never Walk Alone." I don't know what the significance is there, but I just don't think you'll make it far. So I think fourth, you guys will be going home right away. But yeah, so this is the one where you'll be surprised, Brian. I'm sure you're going to know which way I'm going to go here. So
I do think I know where you're going to go.
So for third, I'm going to put Lazio. So
wow, the disrespect.
They did lose Milinkovic-Savic, and Millie Savage was a solid player for them in the midfield. But just get an idea, last season in the Europa League, they also had Feyenoord in their Europa League group, by the way. So Lazio drew all 4 games. They couldn't get a single win in that group. And I believe, not everyone, obviously, because I think Feyenoord beat them. But Feyenoord beat them in their group stage last season with their full-strength squad before they lost their players to Saudi and all the other clubs they went to. Feyenoord beat them then last season when they went on to become the Dutch champions that they haven't done in a while. If they did it then, I feel like they can do it now. And they lost, like I said, Milinkovic-Savic, who was like the heart and soul of their team. So I'm going to put them third. And plus, obviously, Feyenoord, like I said, Santi Jimenez plays here. He's one of my favorite Mexican players at the moment, since the rest of them I'm pretty much disappointed in. He's the only one that it's not let me down. He's a great player for his club, not so much national team. He gets very nervous at the national level. Very nervous. But when it comes to club ball, he just balls out. He was at one point last season in the Europa League. He was on top of the goal scoring table for the Europa League last season, and I feel like he'll do well. The only downfall is that he's suspended, I believe, for 2 or 3 games because his quarterfinal game against Roma last year, he got a red card in the dying minutes, and it sucks because they were so close to going through. I think they conceded to draw in the final minutes. Otherwise, it would have went through, which kind of sucks, and that's what got him that red card. So he's out, and he's obviously their big striker, but they've been balling out in the Dutch league. 3 games where they've destroyed their opponents 5-1, 6-1. So they are balling at the moment. They started a little slow. They got 2 draws to start off, which kind of sucks because you can't drop points, especially with you got PSV, Ajax, and like AZ Alkmaar that are pretty solid. So I feel, it sucks that they drop points really early on. But my point is, I feel like they'll do well even without Santi for the first couple games, and I just have faith in these guys. I feel like they'll do well. Yeah. I mean, they did it last season. They beat Lazio last season, so I feel like they can do it again. And then obviously I have Atleti first. Last season they were very disappointing. They got grouped last season. They ended 4th. They went nowhere. It was very disappointing. But I don't know, Brian. I told you when we did our La Liga predictions that Atleti are very shaky, and I was right. How do you go from beating Rayo Vallecano, I think 6 or 7-0, right? Or was it 6 or 7-1? I can't remember. But
I think it was 7-1.
Okay. How do you go from that to losing 3-0 to Valencia? So Valencia last year almost got relegated. They were close to the bottom most of the year. They were struggling, and I felt like they were going to be close to the bottom again. But they beat them 3-0, which is huge.
Oh, no, 7-0.
7-0. Yeah, I thought they kept a clean sheet. Okay, 7-0. But the fact that they lost to Valencia is not good news for them early on. I just don't know how they're going to come back from that. But luckily for them, I keep saying this, all these big teams that are struggling got lucked out with their draws. Except for one team, which I'm going to talk about in the next one. So, so I have them first, obviously. I feel like they'll be Feyenoord, I'm sure. They have so much depth, and their defense is insane. So, I feel like they'll be able to win the group out and go through, unlike last year.
Yeah, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not calling this group lackluster, but I mean, of all groups, I feel like this is the
behind obviously Group G.
Yeah, this is the basically like one of the easiest groups here. So then I feel like with this one, there's actually probably like room for some movement. I feel like if we get a shocker, it's gonna come from this group. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You're not wrong, honestly. Anything could happen. We never know. What if Celtic end up winning in the top 2? I don't think so, but you never know.
Yep.
Yeah, because I hear that atmosphere at Celtic Park is insane, and you can imagine that, like, the atmosphere at home for most of these clubs are going to be the difference maker for sure.
If so, you best believe I'll be behind the Celtic boys.
Yep. Behind them for sure. I mean, I love an underdog. I'm not against Celtic. They just happen to be in this group, you know. They could have had an easier group or an easier draw. I mean, I say that, but there's a chance for an upset, so they do have potential, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so Group F. This is the group of death, and like I said, a great way to end off the group stages for these competitions with the crazy group of death. Any of these clubs could have made it through in any other group if they were placed, but this is how it went. So for 4th, I'm gonna put Dortmund. I know you put them in 3rd, and you put Newcastle in 4th. But Dortmund started off really bad in the league. They dropped points against the recently promoted Heidenheim, which is not very good. And then also, I forget what other club. There was another club that dropped points to that they had no business dropping points to. I think it was like Stuttgart. I can't remember what club it was, but they dropped points to 2 lower table sides, and that's not very good to start off because you already know Super Bayern is in full effect, and they got to take as many points as they can if they want to truly compete. And I had a feeling, too, that they were going to struggle, especially with their loss of players. You know, they lost Jude, which is a big player, you know. And I knew they were going to struggle in the Bundesliga, and I can see they have struggled in the Bundesliga, and for this reason, I'm going to put them in 4th in the group, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have them there. And then 3rd, so I'm going to surprise you, Brian. Just saying. And
Oh, I think I know where this is
yeah,
going.
I'm gonna put Milan in third.
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
fell down.
yeah, no offense to Milan fans. You know, just saying, no offense. But Milan is blue. Just saying. But I don't know. After that beatdown against Inter, you just never know. But I just felt compared to PSG and Newcastle, I feel like they would end in third. Um, Nothing to do with the players they have or who they have on their
Yeah,
squad, but I feel like they've gotten some good results early on. But that last game against Inter looked very, very dodgy. To lose that big against your arch rivals is just never a good thing. But I just don't
yeah.
think they can do it.
This is one that I can definitely not see the logic behind. I just find it so hard to see them third. I mean, hey, you never know. I might get shocked, but this is just one where I just feel like it's the obvious one or two. I mean, I put them one, but I can obviously see them being like at least
I
two.
get
Like,
it.
there's
I
no
get
way
it.
they drop to three. There's no way.
I just have faith in Newcastle. Their squad is very decent. They don't have a lot of depth. They had a rough start to the Premier League. Like I said, every club has struggled and they've gone lucked out by easy groups, but this one is not easy
Yeah,
at all. So this one would be the opposite. So your prediction of them in fourth would actually be accurate in the sense of that they started rough in the league, and so
yeah,
most likely they might start rough in the Champions League. But I just feel like Newcastle, I feel like they can do it. You know, I remember when Leicester won the Prem in the next year, they made it to, I think, to the quarters against and they lost that against Atleti, and I thought that was exciting. You know, that was their
yeah.
debut. I know Newcastle have been here, but it's been a long time. But I don't know. There's just something about Newcastle. They're a great squad. They have good players. You know, I just imagine that I don't know, like Sandro Tonali, I feel like he might have a chip on his shoulder. He might want to show Milan what they missed out on by letting him go. Sometimes, you know, it's not a bad decision to let your big player go. Like, look at West Ham. They let Declan Rice walk, and the players they brought
Yeah.
in have, like, more than enough helped to propel them to the top of the table, which is crazy because you would never expect them to be in the top parts of the table. But especially after losing Declan Rice, but that happened. So I feel like with AC Milan losing Tonali, he might be the motivation for him to help and show them what they missed out on and what they could have been. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, and it is the group of death at the end of the day. So I mean, I can definitely back that, I suppose. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find it hard. But it's a group of death for a reason.
Yeah.
All these teams are good, so we'll just that's just gonna be one of the ones we're just gonna have to watch every single game, and it's gonna be interesting throughout the whole
Oh yeah.
um grouping.
I'm excited for that for sure. I can't wait. So I can't wait for PSG versus Newcastle because technically it is
Yeah,
two. You're
I
saying
was literally about to say the same thing. I was like, I cannot wait for PSG versus Newcastle. It's gonna be funny.
technically it is two oil clubs, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. Technically, even though you can't
Okay.
tell with Newcastle because they've done it, you know, the correct way. You know, obviously
Yeah.
you don't like seeing the way PSG and City muscled their way into relevancy, but I love the way Newcastle are doing it. So that's why I'm always a big supporter of them and what they do. You know, I always hope they do well, even though obviously they're not my team. It's exciting to see a team
Yeah.
come up. You know, so all the signings that they made weren't crazy. I feel like anybody could have made the signings that they made. It's not like they went out
Yeah.
and they bought like Mbappe or like Ronaldo
They're not
or
buying
Messi's.
superstars. They're just
Yes,
buying people and creating superstars. That's what they're doing.
exactly. They're buying young players with potential and helping them mold into like superstars, which they've done with Bruno Guimaraes, who's done very solid so
Yeah.
far. You know, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna say there. And they brought some more. They brought some more young gems to this past windows. I feel like they'll do okay. I'm gonna put them in second, but
Yeah.
anybody could finish. Anybody could end in any position in this group because it is the group of death, and all four of these teams are very solid teams. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
What if PSG and Newcastle get knocked out, and you see Milan and Borussia Dortmund go through? That'd be crazy. But imagine.
That would be kind of crazy, not gonna lie.
Yes, it would be very crazy. But yeah, so I'm gonna put PSG first. As much as I would love to drop them down to second, that's not gonna happen. And I say this because I just feel like their form has been kind of shaky. So, you know, honestly, as I go on with my prediction, I start to feel like yours is pretty safe, your prediction. So Milan first,
Yeah.
PSG second. Dortmund. Well, I still say Dortmund fourth, and then Newcastle.
Well,
It's
see, I I knew at the end of the day you were gonna have a spot in your heart for PSG at first, so that's why I left them for you. But that's why I
Yeah,
did go a
I
little
do
more
not
safe.
have a single piece. I don't have any room for PSG in my heart. Trust me. They are the hatred. They're the hatred that lies within. Trust me. I love seeing their downfall at the moment, knowing that they're not top of their league and that they struggled against what you would expect to be easy opponents makes me so happy. Um, yeah, they're just lucky they went up against Leon and Lens, like Lens so early
Yeah,
on, because I guarantee you, Leon will get their shit together sooner than
yeah,
later. But they got lucky that they faced these guys early. If not, I kid you not, they'd be mid-table. That's what I would say. So
yeah,
we'll see. Mbappe keeps having to bail them out, and considering that Mbappe is supposed to be the main piece to an like overall huge squad, that's not a good sign. He shouldn't be the one bailing you out. He should be like helping propel them forward, not like carrying them in these games. Considering all the money they
yeah.
spent. But I just feel like they'll get first, even though they've been struggling in the league. It's the Champions League, and who knows? It may surprise me. All I gotta say is if PSG drop down to the Europa League, it would be the most hilarious thing of all. I think them dropping down to the Europa League would be better than them getting knocked out straight because they'd have to play in the Europa League and it'd be hilarious. You know?
Yeah, and I feel like there's no way 3 bad years in a row, right? Like I feel like at some point it has to turn around. Yeah, at least you'd think.
It's not gonna
So
happen this year. Honestly, I saw
I
it
don't
last
know.
year. I saw it last year. I thought they had a chance at winning it last year and they fumbled it. I just don't think this year with the transition period that they're gonna win it. So that's why I said don't be surprised if they drop out, but it would be hilarious. I can't see it happening.
Yeah,
I don't think
no, I
the
don't think it happened.
yeah, I don't think the what's called I was gonna say Saudis, but they're not Saudis. The Qataris. I don't think they'd let
Yeah,
that happen. I don't think they would let it happen. I
100%.
think they would lose their shit if that happened. But it'd be
Dude, they'll buy
hilarious.
out. They'll just buy out everybody in this stuff.
Yo,
They're like there ain't no chance
oh
of
of
that.
course, but it'd be hilarious for sure. But yeah, so I have PSG there, and that's my group F. Like I said, some people might not like it. I know yours is drastic, and you saw every point I made against all the other ones, but this is the one where you're putting your foot down, where you disagree massively.
Yeah, no, that's the one where I just cannot. Like,
That's
I don't
okay.
know, it's just too crazy in my head. But that is just me being conservative. But
That's
it is the
fine.
Champions League, so we will see.
That's fine. For once, you're being conservative, and I'm not being conservative, and that's okay,
I know it's funny. Of course,
right?
it's when it's the Champions League
Right?
too.
It's the Champions League, man. It's like the FA Cup.
Uh,
Crazy shit happens.
yeah,
Crazy shit happens. But yeah, so that's my group F there. Group G. This is the easiest group, man. Easy. I'm not even gonna spend that much time here. All right. So I know you put Young Boys in third because they have a funnier name, and you put Red Star in fourth. So Cervina Zvezda. But I'm putting Cervina Zvezda in third for the fact that they're I don't know. I think they've been up here before. They usually are in the Europa League
yeah,
and whatnot, but they compete. They compete. They make it to the knockouts sometimes in the Europa League. So I feel like they got more of a pedigree than Young Boys do. So I just feel like Servina again, not top. They're gonna get in third here, and then that's just what I have to say about that. No disrespect to either of those clubs, but that's just how I
hmm
see it. And obviously in second we have Leipzig. It's gonna be the battle for first and second, but Leipzig have been done well considering they lost a lot of players. You know.
There will be no battle for first and second. Just letting you.
You never know. Hey,
There will
Leipzig
be
have
no
done well.
battle.
I gotta say is Leipzig have done well considering all the players that they've lost. They've been
I don't
solid.
care how well they have done. There will not be no battle. they can,
You gotta
they
be
can
a
literally
little
change up the whole
optimistic.
team. There will be no battle.
You
I can tell you
gotta
that right
be.
now.
You gotta be a little optimistic. You never know. What if City drop points to Young Boys?
Pep is not gonna let that happen. I don't care. I
Oh
don't
my
care what
god.
happens. There could be like a freaking lightning striking, hitting Holland right in the dome, but that is not happening. They will not drop points.
No, I mean Julian Alvarez has stepped up massively this season. So honestly, even if Holland
Yeah.
doesn't perform, Julian Alvarez is there to clutch up. But I don't know. All I gotta say is that Leipzig are a good club, and they put up fights in previous years. They lost players, but they brought in good players. Like Xavi Simmons is balling like crazy. If anything, PSG should have kept him. but he's on loan at the
Oh,
moment,
definitely.
and they're doing really well even without losing. You know, like they lost Vardiol and then Kunku, and they lost a lot of. I forget who else they lost. I know they. Oh, and Svalsly, they lost him too. They always lose players. It's crazy. They just stay competing.
Yeah.
Even though they lose players, but yeah, and then obviously City's in first because City is City, and nobody likes City unless, unless you're a bandwagon fan, a young fan, or you're from Manchester, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything from RB Leipzig. I feel bad now. I don't want to. I don't want to make it seem
You're
like I'm
shitting on RB Leipzig,
No,
man.
I know who they are. I know what they bring to the table. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not trying
Brian's
to
just terrified of City. That's why he's terrified of
No,
City.
I just know who they are and what they bring to the table.
Brian,
that's all.
Are you sure that they are them? Are you sure that they are him?
They're becoming him, and they will probably solidify his Champions League.
Oh no,
We'll
man!
see.
I will give them their respect if they win it back to back because the last thing that did it is obviously Real Madrid, and no one had done it since before when it was still called the European Cup. Well, no one's done it since it's been called the UEFA Champions League other than Real Madrid. So we'll see what happens if they win it back to back. I'll give them their props, even though I don't like them, and I hope that they don't. But yeah, so City is first there, sadly. So. And then here we go on to Group H. So I'm honestly going to keep it the same way you did, Brian. You know, I'm going to put, obviously, same way. So fourth, obviously, we have Royal Antwerp. Third, we have Shakhtar Donetsk. Second, we have FC Porto. And then first, we have Barcelona. So first of all, I do not like... what is the club? I do not like Royal Antwerp because they stole a place of the Champions League from AEK Athens, and they stole my dream of seeing two more Mexicans play in the Champions League. So now so instead of them playing in this Group H, they're playing in the Group of Death in the Europa League. So thank you, Antwerp. I hope you win. I hope you win 0 games. I hope you can take nothing. You know, I know that they get. That's gonna be toxic. So in the Champions League, they get money for draws and wins, and I hope they get 0 wins. I'm sorry, Antwerp fans. I'm gonna be a hater because I'm upset and salty that they knocked out AEK Athens. They did all that just to make it to the Champions League and win 0 games. I guarantee you, they'll get slapped up by Dortmund, Shakhtar Donetsk. Just them alone, let alone what Porto and Barcelona are gonna do to them. Just watch. You'll see.
Yeah.
Just saying. But
No,
yeah.
definitely.
And third, we got
I can't
Shakhtar.
even.
Yeah, you can't even
I feel
deny
like
it.
I feel like that's one that you can't even like justify. Like I was just like, you know what? Like just because you're talking smack about it, I was like, I'm gonna move up to third, but no chance.
No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. They got washed up Alderweireld, and then I don't even know who else they got. I think they had before Nainggolan, but I think he's playing for a second division team now. I think it's Spal, but I don't even know. But I don't know. They're getting fourth. And then third, I got Shakhtar. Shakhtar is obviously a casual, regular in this league. So they do have some interesting performances. They've had some upsets. You know, they used to be that team that used to produce every Brazilian. So every Brazilian came through this club, but they haven't been as of late. But yeah, I feel like they'll get third here. I don't see them passing up Porto and Barcelona because they are them, and that's gonna happen. So we never know, but it's not gonna happen. They did put up a fight against Madrid last year, but it's just not gonna happen. They're gonna get third and drop down to the Europa League, but we'll see. And then second, I'm not gonna be biased. I'm gonna put Porto in second. Porto is Porto. They got good players. They recently just signed a Mexican on loan. He's a right back. That's exciting. Porto's solid squad. They're always competing in the Portuguese league, but I just don't think they can topple Barcelona. And now, speaking of Portuguese teams, let's bring up some Portuguese players. So they signed up João Felix and João Cancelo. And so those are two pieces that they desperately needed. I guarantee you that they're going to ball out. So they did very well over the week.
100%.
Yeah, they did very good over the weekend with these guys.